Now that is exactly what we're looking to keep.
This is probably one of my bigger bucks to date.
Guys, I cannot believe that actually worked.
Looks like a double lung shot.
It was hot, really hot. Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're new to the channel, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch a man versus deer video. So this pond behind me is actually my pond. Lived in this place since about November, and me and my two boys have had a chance to fish it a bunch of times now, and every time we go fishing we catch a pile of 10 to 12 inch bass. And on days where the sun is shining, we can see into there really good, and we can see a bunch of different schools of them. I've probably been able to see about 100 different bass at a time. So my goal this morning is to remove about 10 fish that I consider stunted from this pond this morning, and of course we're going to take them home and eat them. And my hopes are that in doing so, it'll create more forage for the rest of the fish that are in there. And over a couple of years of doing this selectively, we'll be able to grow some trophy-sized fish. This pond's about 1.5 acres in size, so it's decently big. It's got some pretty deep spots, and I went in this spring and put in about 300 2-inch size bluegill, and I put in about 3,000 minnows. So I've increased the forage myself, feeding the fish daily. I'm going to take some of the bass out so that the rest of them have enough food to grow big, and that's kind of what we're doing with today's video. I got a kayak because the water's been up. Let's get to fishing. All right, it's a nice June morning out. It's about 6 a.m. I'm just going to kind of ease my way along this bank side. That's where a lot of these little fish like to stack up in. And I'm not just going to be keeping every fish. I'm actually going to be looking every fish over pretty good. And what I would ideally like to do is keep any stunted fish. So I'm going to specifically be looking for fish with big eyes, big heads, and a small body, that kind of thing. I'd ideally like to keep about 10 of them. And I've got some small tackle, just using like a little curly-tailed grub. Seems to do pretty good. And we're just going to basically drift down this little U right here down the deep side of the pond, and see if we can't put a bunch of those little guys in the boat, go home and eat them. So basically fishing for them with a crappie rod, but we're going to start right here by this little down tree and see what we can catch. Let's get to fishing. Got one on. Didn't take long. Looks like a little bass. This is a pretty good specimen of what's in here. This guy actually looks pretty young and pretty healthy. I don't see like an overly big head. He's pretty plump, so I'm gonna let this guy go. Fish on. And we have another bass. Again, this guy is a little bit smaller than what we're looking to keep, and he does not look unproportionate at all, so he gets a pass as well. Let's see if we can get another one. He's under the boat. He's under the boat. Now that is exactly what we're looking to keep. If you look at this fish, he's got pretty big eyes, and his head is definitely a lot bigger than the rest of his body. In fact, the back of him looks like it's been squeezed a little bit. That is exactly what we're looking to keep. That's the first fish we're taking home. Another fish on right by the kayak. Oh, it's got a little fight left in him. And this again is another fish that looks mildly stunted, so he's going to get a keep too. There seems to be a pile of those in here, so I'm just gonna, I was gonna fish the deeper bank, but I seen one of those little birds over here that likes to eat all my fish, so I paddled over here to scare him off, started casting and catching a pile of fish. So I'll work my way back over there, I'm sure, but there seems to be a decent amount of those little stunted bass right in here, so here we go. Big old bluegill. Big old bluegill. That's what I want to see in here. Pretty decent little bluegill. Just got one hooked off the deeper side of the boat. Feels like a decent sized fish, like one of the ones we might want to keep. Or is it? No, it isn't. He's fooling me. It's just a bigger bluegill. I really thought that was a bigger sized fish. These things fight so hard. Heck, maybe I need to be eating some of these. These are some really good sized bluegill that I'm pulling out of here. I'm fishing off the deeper side of the kayak now. And as I get close to the boat and start pulling up, I'm pretty well getting bit by one of these bluegill every time. And these are some big old bluegill. Nice, fat, meaty, healthy fish. Gotta be some bigger bass over here if I'm pulling bluegill out like that, I would think. I'm just gonna keep fishing this deeper side and see what I can pull out here. Got a jumper. Never gets old. Woo. Calm down, big fella. Little fella, whatever you are. Alright. This fish actually looks pretty long and skinny, so we are going to keep him. That's more what we're looking for. That other fish was short and fat and had a really good color to him. And his head was big, but it wasn't that big. This guy is kind of long and skinny. See how skinny he is? So he's going to get the frying pan. That's exactly what we're looking to take out of here. Let's get another. Down on the bass. Let's see what he looks like. Oh yeah, he's a keeper. Skinny head, or skinny body, long head. Caught him right by the kayak, like right under it, to be honest. Good in the side of the mouth. This guy, He honestly looks pretty healthy. Let him go. Good looking little bass. Another nice, young, and healthy one. Good looking bass. Nice, short and fat. Well, guys, had a pretty good morning fishing. Probably caught about 20 fish in total. A bunch of bass, a bunch of big bluegill. This pond has a lot of bluegill in it. Got 5 bass I didn't want in the pond out of there with really big heads and really skinny bodies. That's going to free up forage for a lot of the other fish, a lot of the younger, healthier fish to hopefully get a lot bigger in the next couple of years. I'll probably do this a couple more times this year and continue doing it selectively until I see some of the fish that I want getting to a bigger size. So that's it for the fishing this morning. I'm going to take and fillet these guys out, and I got something really, really cool that we're going to do with the fillets. See you in the kitchen. All right, guys, welcome back to my kitchen. So I got about half of our bass fillets here, and I seen a video a couple of years ago where these guys took some mayonnaise, put some panko on top of them. It was a saltwater fish, but they baked it and it looked really, really good. So that's what we're going to try with these today. If I can remember what video that was, I'll make sure that I link it in the description. But I got some mayonnaise we're going to use as a binder. I'm going to squeeze some lemon juice into it. I'm going to season the mayonnaise and the lemon stuff with black pepper. I'm going to pre-season these fish with Tony Chachere's, and then we're going to cover them in panko and bake them at about 350 for 20-ish minutes. I think these things are going to come out fantastic. Let's get to cooking them. First thing we're going to do with these bass fillets is season them up real nice. For this, we're going to use some Tony Chachere's Cajun style seasoning. Using it for 2 reasons. 1, gives the fillet a little bit of a kick, and 2, it adds some much needed salt. Next thing we're going to do is build our binder. For that, we're going to use mayonnaise. We're going to half a lemon. We're going to squeeze a good amount of that lemon juice into there. Lemon and fish marry so well together. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a ton of black pepper into this. We're going to stir it up, make sure everything is kind of distributed throughout our little mixture here, and we're going to get ready to apply it to the tops of our fillets. We're going to put some panko on a plate. This is going to make it really easy and less messy later for us to push our fish into. And then we're going to start putting a small amount of binder on the top of each little fillet. Now we're only going to put binder on the top of the fillet. You put binder and panko on the bottom, all the juices and everything are just going to soak down when this thing is baking, and it's going to make anything you put on the bottom pretty soggy, and we are trying to make everything as crispy as possible here. So we're going to leave the bottoms alone. We're going to put some binder and some panko on the top. Now once we got a little bit of binder on everything, we're just going to make sure that the entire top of the fillet and all the sides are covered. Once we have achieved that, we're going to pick that fillet up and we're going to lay it top side down into the panko, and we're going to press down pretty firmly to push the panko up into the fillet and make sure the entire top and all the sides are covered. Next thing we're going to do is pop these into the oven. Oven's been preheating at 350. We're going to leave them in there for about 20 minutes, and then we will take these things out and see what they're all about. All right, guys, these things are out of the oven. They're looking amazing. They're smelling amazing, and I can't wait to dig into these. I made a couple of last-minute changes. I bumped it up from 350 to 400, hoping I could toast the panko a little bit. This is a smaller fish. I figured it would cook faster, and I figured it was going to need a higher temperature for that shorter window in order to toast the panko, and I mostly got that done. We used mayonnaise, lemon, and black pepper as our binder. We pre-seasoned the fish with Tony Chachere's, so it should be a little bit spicy, have a little bit of a kick, and it should have a lot of the other flavors from that other stuff melting in there with it. We got panko on the top, so it should have a nice crunch to it. Let's give this thing a test and then rate it on a 1 to 10 scale. This is bass from my pond. Very, very flaky. Very nice white meat. Underside is seasoned well. Let's see how she does. That's pretty good. That is restaurant quality fish right there. I'm gonna probably give that an 8 out of 10. The meat is really firm, but it's flaky. Really no overly fishy taste to it. I can taste every flavor in there. I maybe went a little heavy on the Tony Chachere's. It's got a pretty decent kick to it. The Panko's crispy. That is just an awesome, awesome piece of fish right there. Well guys, that's gonna do it for this video here. If you like fishing videos, you have to check out the two that are gonna show as this video is closing out. I'll also have them linked in the description. They're both hybrid bass fishing videos. They're both from the bank with no boat, and I pull in some slobs. In fact, in one of the videos, I catch a fish that's over 10 pounds, and he dang near spools me. In fact, he breaks one of the eyes out of my rods. Super cool video, action-packed. Make sure that you guys check that out. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to watch a man versus deer video. I will catch you in the next one, and good luck in the woods.